Hello everyone, welcome back to Chess with FIDE Master Adrian Atwell. Today we have a very interesting class, and it is very interesting for two reasons. We have some good news, and those good news are also kind of like interesting news. Okay, for example, today there will be no chat in the tournament. There will be no chat in the YouTube, and you all know why. Some of you have been getting out of hand in the chat, doing the wrong thing, and for that reason, okay, we are not going to be having any chat. However, I will be letting you know that in the description of the video or of this broadcast, you could find the link for the tournament. If you want to play in the tournament, you will find the link in the description. Today, mainly I want you to pay a lot of attention, because today I will be talking about from novice all the way to intermediate. And in that way, you may want to understand at which level you are at the moment, and how you can get to the other level. Okay, so in chess we have different levels, obviously, as in any other sport or any other discipline, and the first level will be novice. Okay, so the novice is the players that now learn how to move the pieces. They just learn how to move the pieces. They just learn the basic rules, and they are about to start a game. Okay, now what happened with novices is that when a novice is playing chess, they do not know much of what to do. So a game of a novice will look something like they start just pushing pawns, and they might just push any pawns and any pawn, and they might just play with a lot of pawns. So novice just play with pawns. Another thing that novice do during a game is that they give away pieces. All right, they give away pieces. They put pieces in squares where they could just be taking. We call those hanging pieces. So novices most likely play only pushing pawns, and when they are going to make a move, they don't pay attention where they're going to put the pieces, and they give away pieces. For example, bishop here. This is a very bad move, because now this pawn could just capture the bishop, and it will be a free bishop. They might just put the queen in front of another enemy piece like the bishop, and the queen will be lost. So novice do that. Okay, so if you are now finished learning how to move the pieces and this happens to you, I don't want you to feel bad or anything like that, because every master was once a novice and was once a beginner. Okay, so what I want to tell you is that to come out of this stage, you want to pay attention to where you put your pieces. So that is advice number one for the novice players. Okay, so for the novice players, you just learn how to move the pieces. Pay attention to where you put your own pieces. Okay, when it's your turn to move, make sure you do not put your pieces where they could be captured. Okay, for example, well, the example is some of the moves that I make. And let's say after a move like this is white to play. If white plays the knight here, this will be again a very bad move, because you are putting your knight in a place where the pawn could just capture the knight, and once that pawn captured the knight, you will be in a big disadvantage. Right here, white has lost mostly all of his pieces, and this game will be over for white. White will definitely go on to lose the game. Okay, now, the other part that novice do not do, is they do not capture free pieces. So in chess, the stage number one to stop being a novice or to come out of that level is to be very mindful of where you put your own pieces. All right, you do not want to put your pieces where your opponent could capture them. And step number two, all right, which is in that same level of novice, is that you want to pay attention to what your opponent plays. Because by paying attention to what your opponent plays, then you will be able to, how to put it, to capture your opponent's pieces, because your opponent might be giving you free pieces. For example, after the move, let's say e4, let's say black plays e5. If you are a, how you call it, a novice, and you have this position, and the next idea will be to make sure you pay attention to your opponent's move. Let's say black plays the queen here. What happened with novice players is that although this knight can capture the queen, and that will be a brilliant move, the novice players, sometimes they only focus on what they want to do. All right, they say, okay, now let me push this pawn, and they might just push the pawn, or they might just move this pawn because they want to move the pawn, and they are not following the game move by move. So what happened is that you end up having a lot of free pieces, and no one is capturing those free pieces. To illustrate this a little bit, I want to go to the tournament that we had before. All right, to the tournament from last week, and I will just randomly look for examples in that tournament. All right, so let's go to the players that came kind of in the last group in the tournament. Okay, so let's go to the people who came in the last group, because those will be the novice players that just learn how to move the pieces. Okay, so let's look at Anala. All right, let's look at the game of hers, and let's take a look at some of these. So, okay, now notice this game. We're going to look at this game. This is a game between Sion and against Anala. All right. So notice, guys, that in this game, I have not seen this game before or anything like that. In this game, I am expecting to find a lot of free pieces, like free pieces that no one is capturing, and that is what I'm talking about. And maybe not paying attention to some of the basic ideas. So let's start. e4, e5 was played, knight f3, knight f6. This is going okay. And then came knight takes. Okay, there's a free pawn. So notice the knight attacked the pawn, black didn't defend it, and white win the pawn. Pawn to d5. This is not the end of the world. The game is still going on. Pawn takes, c6. Notice that after pawn takes, black here could capture with the knight, recovering the pawn. Black could capture with the queen, also attacking this knight. But black decides to also give away another pawn. So it's not following move by move of what is going on. White capture, black took with the pawn. White bring out the bishop. It looks like white here has some kind of understanding of the game, because now the knight together with the bishop are pointing to that f7 square. And now this is what I was talking about. Notice how Anala, which is a novice, put the bishop on h3 in her game, where this pawn could just win the bishop. And white here, which is another novice, notice what he does. Here, white could capture this pawn, attacking both the queen and the rook. White could also capture with the bishop, checking the king, forcing the king to move up. And white, the most obvious move, of course, is to just take the free bishop. It's a free bishop. It's a bishop that is placed in front of the pawn, and the pawn could just take the bishop for free. It will just be a free bishop. So those novice, or those who understand that, okay, I just learned how to move the pieces, I'm now starting started playing the game, you want to pay attention to what is free. And free pieces are to be captured. Okay, knight came to a6. Notice the knight is placed in a square where it's free. The opponent could just take it for free. And this is what I mean by novice players. The stage of a novice players is like the first stage of a chess player. After they just learn how to move the pieces, they have to become aware of where to put the pieces so they do not give them for free. So my advice for today is be very mindful where you put your pieces. So you will not put your pieces where the opponent could just win them. Okay, and this will be the novice stage. Okay, so what to do to come out of the novice stage? Okay, number one, pay attention to where you put your pieces. Very important. Don't put your pieces where they could be captured for free. No, don't put them there. Number two, pay attention to where your opponent put his pieces, because you want to capture those free pieces that your opponent is going to be giving you. So pay attention, move, by move. That's my advice for the novice players, okay? Now that we finished with the novice players, let's go back to the next level of players, all right? Notice, guys, that we are trying to work with each one of the stages to see what stage you are and how you could move from one stage to the other. Now, stage number 2, I will call it a beginner. You're no longer a novice, you are a beginner. You already finished learning how to move the pieces, and you have learned and understood the part of the common sense part of chess where you do not put your pieces where your opponent could capture them for free, and if your opponent gives you something for free, you win those pieces. So now you already have done that, and now what stage are you on now? Okay, you are in the stage where you have actually paid attention to some of my classes and you managed to know how to control the center and bring out your pieces. This is a stage that many people struggle to reach, but I believe it's not really all that difficult. Now, in this stage, you normally want to see players bringing out pieces, but sometimes they control the center with the pawn, and sometimes they bring a knight, but at the end, they do not bring all of the pieces. Like they still do not castle quickly. They still do not sometimes bring all the pieces. Like they bring this knight, maybe they will bring the bishop out. And from here, they might start playing random pawn moves. And they start playing random pawn moves, which really do not do anything with the game, okay? This is the beginner that already have some common sense, but they don't pay attention to the basic concepts, which is control the center, bring out your knights and bishops, and castle. This is the next stage, okay? So the next player is that the player that understands that his pieces have to be out. So the pieces could be out and hunting and doing a good job. So this will be the second stage, in which I will call beginner level 1. Okay, so I will call this one beginner level 1. It's a player that captures the free pieces, do not give away free pieces easily, but still have problems controlling the center, bringing out the pieces, and castling. Now, what do you want to do to move on from that stage? Well, you want to, during your game, make sure you control the center with a pawn, and then make sure you bring out your knight. You remember to bring out your bishop. You remember to bring out the next knight. And you have a good setup at the beginning of the game. Your setup is solid, your pieces are out, and you castle. To castle, you move your king 2 squares towards the rook, and black does the same. Now, once you do this and you understand that you're supposed to control the center, that you're supposed to bring out your 2 knights and your bishop, both, whether you are playing white or whether you are playing black, is the same plan. Control the center, bring out your knights, bring out your bishop, castle. Once you understand this part, where during the game you bring out your bishops, you bring out your knights, you control the center, this stage, that means you have completed the level of beginner level 1. So you are no longer a beginner level 1, you have moved up to beginner level 2, because you already know that during a chess game, this is very critical, having your pieces out. If during a game you still do not do these things, then you could be considered a beginner level 1. If I go to the tournament from last week, because I want to use the tournament as a reference, guys, because the placement of the tournament that you are getting has everything to do with this. Like if you're giving away free pieces, you are going to come, let's say, in the last 10 in the tournament. The last 10. Why? Because you are giving away free pieces. That is the novice. Now, if you are now a beginner and you do not give away free stuff, but you do not control the center, you don't develop your pieces, then you are going to have a bad game. And I want to take a look. Notice I'm just randomly checking the tournament. I will just go to, these are literally the last 10, but let's go to now in the last 20. Although here I will find some people that play good, maybe. But let's see, this person, LT Mills, came 31st in the tournament, all right? So let's take a look at one of his games. So what I'm guessing here is the following. What I'm guessing is that this player is capturing 3 pieces, all right, because he came 31st, but maybe he's not doing the job in every game to control the center, bring out the pieces, and castling. So all I'm going to look in his games is the first 5 to 6 moves, 5 to 10 moves, maybe. Just I don't want to look at the whole game. I want to just look what is being done at the beginning of the game. So let's take a look at the game that he played against, let's say, this player that is kind of like seen already. So here, very, very interesting. So he's playing with the white pieces, LT Mills. I don't know if it's a boy or a girl, but let's see. He controls the center. He brings out the knight. But now here he's giving away 3 pieces. So now he is, although he came for the first and he is bringing the pieces out, now he needs to still work with something off from the novice, where the novice just gives away free material. And now he just lost a knight for a pawn. He brought out the bishops. He's trying to bring out the pieces, but he's putting the pieces in places where they could just be captured. Notice here that black played knight h6, not putting the knight in good squares, where instead black could have just taken the bishop for free. So here, even at this stage, we could see people missing also free stuff, okay, and not completing the development properly, because bringing out your pieces, controlling the center, and castling have to be done properly. You can't just give away pieces, because you cannot say, well, I will control the center, I will develop my pieces, and I will castle, but while I'm doing that, I'm giving those pieces for free. No. Stage number 1 is you need to not give away free pieces. First stage is do not give away free pieces. So here in this position, knight takes is already not a good move, right? So let's go to our next game, and I will look at the game against Sarika. No, this is the same game we're looking at just now. So I'll look at the game against Rubina. Okay, so now notice what happened here. E4, bringing out the knight, bringing out the bishop, but not paying attention. He just brought out the knight, brought out the bishop, but didn't pay attention that in this position, he should have just taken the bishop, the pawn, with his pawn, all right? Or maybe push this pawn forward. Instead, he brought out the bishop, not seeing that this pawn could attack his knight. Black plays c5, which is another move. Notice here, guys, they are not paying attention move by move. As soon as this move comes in, it's not about what you want to play. This pawn is here, okay. This pawn wants to capture my pawn. Let me capture this pawn instead. And that's it. Simple like that. Instead, he brought out his bishop, allowing this pawn to take this pawn. Now, on black's turn, black has to say, wait a minute, this is a free pawn. I could just win that pawn. But black didn't win that pawn, which will be also attacking the knight. Black here played pawn to c5, another pawn move. So black here has 1, 2, 3 pawn moves. All right. And he brought out the knight, finally defending, doing some stuff here. Now knight out. Both players are bringing out the pieces. But again, well, here white is doing much better here because he brought out his pieces and he's capturing some stuff. Although he missed some things in the beginning, he is at least now paying attention to captures and capturing more stuff. So here white is doing a bit better than in the previous game for sure. Okay, but now again here, not paying attention to some details. This pawn came here, the pawn wants to win this bishop, and instead of just, oh, it's a free pawn, let me take the pawn, he didn't take the pawn, he castled, allowing this pawn to take the bishop. But black did not take the bishop. Black ended up playing something like queen to g5. So this part in which you are playing the game and you are not fully developing all of your pieces and not paying attention move by move, that means you are still at the beginner level 1. Okay, so you are a beginner in level 1. I will say that, beginner level 1. Now, notice, guys, that this position, when you start playing the game and you reach to this position, then you could consider yourself that you have left the area of a beginner level 1, that although they bring their pieces, but they do not bring all their pieces out, they're still missing some stuff, but you are at least doing that. That means you are a beginner and you have now climbed a little bit higher maybe to a beginner level 2, where you are a stronger beginner and you are trying to reach soon to become an intermediate player. All right. Now notice that for the intermediate player, for beginner number level 3, I will say, the beginner level 3 is able to do this, is able to control the center, e4, e5, is able to bring out his knight, bring out his bishop, bring out his next knight, castle. He's able to do this without any problem. This is just part of his normal play. He's not rushing, he's not doing anything. He makes sure that he pays attention to this, but he is alert. If in this process, at this point, he would like to play pawn to d3, but if instead his opponent play a move like, let's say, knight takes pawn, here, knight takes pawn, he's not going to play pawn to d3. He sees what is going on. Oh, that's a free knight, let me take the knight. And now I am also attacking this bishop. So he will be able to see that. He will be able to see the game move by move, all right? Now, that will be the beginner level 2, as a beginner that knows what he is doing. Now, what happens with the beginner level 2? One of the things that happen is attack and defense. Okay, attack and defense is sometimes where they make mistakes. For example, in this beginner, for example, the opponent, let's say, white plays here, pawn here, and black plays something like pawn h6. White plays now b4. Now, in the area of attack and defense, sometimes these players, when they are attacked, notice this pawn just moved to b4, this pawn is attacking this bishop, and they do not pay attention sometimes to the attack. That means they're still not being mindful of every move of the opponent. So what is going on here? Well, the pawn is attacking the bishop, but black decides that he's not going to move the bishop, not because he don't want to move it, because he doesn't notice that the pawn wants to take the bishop. Or he might think, his thinking will be, well, if you take my bishop, I will take your pawn with my pawn. My bishop is protected. But what he's not understanding is that this bishop is worth 3 points. This pawn is worth 1 point. You cannot allow a pawn that is worth 1 point to just capture your bishop for free like that. That will not be good for you. That will be a bad trade. It's something that I have in book 2. All right, so in my book 2, I speak a lot about good trade, fair trades, and bad trades. All right, that book will be also on sale for the upcoming tournament, Jumbo Chess Tournament. I will have book 1, book 2, and book 3 ready for those who would like to purchase them and practice with the book at home. However, some of you, depending on the school that you attend to, some of you will also get those books inside of the program. Now, notice this, guys, that after this move, the beginners, some beginners will just not will not move away. They will not try to save the piece. Some of them will take the pawn, which is a bad move, because then you will lose your bishop. All right, you will lose your bishop to 2 pawns. 2 pawns is not enough for a bishop. All right, for the value of a bishop. Or they will just play a random move and allow the pawn to take their bishop, and argue that they could just take this pawn, and yeah, you took my bishop, but I took your pawn, and that will be a very, very bad argument, because you are just losing material. Okay, so what happened with this level of beginners is that they do not pay attention to attacks. All right, they do not run away from attacks properly. Now, if I go back to the tournament, I want to go to some of my, perhaps some of the games that I played. Let's check some of the games that I played. I didn't play much easy players, but let's check my game against Alisa. All right. So notice here, I'm playing with the black pieces. Okay, my opponent started controlling the center, bringing out the pieces, bringing out the bishop, and bringing out the knight. Everything is going good. Okay, I play d6, knight, bishop g5, very good. And notice what happened here. I play pawn to h6. You see why I'm talking about attacks? Eh? I play pawn to h6 in this game, and I am attacking the bishop. I'm just simply attacking the bishop with my pawn. But Alisa wanted to play a different move. Didn't pay attention to the game move by move. Didn't see, oh, wait a minute. The pawn just came to h6. If the pawn came to h6, that means the pawn is attacking my bishop. I need to do something with my bishop. I either take this knight, and this is a fair trade because a bishop is 3, a knight is 3. If I take the knight, it's fine, no problem. I didn't lose anything. Or maybe I should just move back, run away, so the pawn will not take my bishop. Maybe I could even move back here. But one thing that I cannot do is leave my bishop there for the pawn to capture it. But she instead played knight here, and I got a free bishop. And that is what I'm talking about. They know how to control the center, they know how to bring out the pieces, and this could be you. You already know how to control the center, you already know how to develop up your pieces, but why are you losing? Well, pay attention move by move. Pay attention to attacks and defense. Meaning, when your opponent attacks something of yours, you have to make a decision whether you should move away, which is most of the time I could move. Oh, you're attacking me, let me just run away. Or if you should capture, create an exchange, but you have to come up with a decision. All right. You cannot, when your opponent attacks one of your pieces, you have to be able to move. Now, notice the first thing is to be very mindful of the game, move by move. A chess game is played move by move. When they attack your piece, you need to deal with it. I mean, they make a move, you need to watch the move. My opponent just make a move. It's not my turn to just play quickly. No, no, no. My opponent just made a move. What is my opponent doing? Oh, the pawn just came here. It wants to take my bishop. Let me run away. And you run away with your bishop. All right? So it is very important that you pay attention to that. Now, notice in the game what happened. I attacked the bishop. She moved the knight. I took the bishop. She played the knight back. And I played bishop g4. Pinning the knight. The knight cannot take this pawn. Fine. She plays h3. And I play a6. This is a very tricky move because some of you will be like, Coach, wait a minute. This pawn came here to attack your bishop. Why didn't you save your bishop? Why? Are you a beginner that you left the bishop there for your pawn to take it? Why would you play pawn here attacking this bishop instead? Well, the reason is very interesting here. Well, when I play h6, if my opponent takes my bishop, behind her pawn is a rook. So if she takes my bishop, I take her rook with a check. And after she moves, I also take her queen. So the tactical idea behind leaving the bishop there is that the bishop is just like a little trap. If you take my bishop, you will lose the rook and you will lose the queen. All right, so that is why I left my bishop there. There is something behind it, you know. So I attacked her bishop. She took my knight, good decision. I capture with the pawn. And now she played knight takes g5. Not a good move. Why not a good move? Well, beginners also have to pay attention to where the pieces are. For example, this bishop is pinning the knight to the queen. If the knight move, the queen is gone. So that is why I say in chess, you have to keep focus of everything that is going on. Now, I just got to take a free queen and I went on to win the game. Notice, guys, that in this game, I didn't have to put a lot of effort. I just had to pay attention. So because you sometimes will play against strong players, sometimes you will play against beginners. And if you are playing against a beginner, what you have to do is make sure that you are not the one making the whole bunch of mistakes. All right, try to make as few mistakes as possible. And how do you do that? Well, paying attention to your own moves and paying attention to your opponent moves. Okay, your opponent's moves, you have to pay attention to them. They are very, very important. Okay, now let's go back to the board. Now that you understand what I mean by attack and defense, that's what I mean. If your opponent is attacking something of yours, you have to be mindful of every move of your opponent. Chess is played move by move. Now, let's go now to the next level. When you realize that, okay, I am a beginner, but I'm not able to get to become an intermediate player. I still lose a lot of games. I don't find much things to do because my opponents are always defending well. For example, during a game, I attack a pawn, my opponents defend it. And I attack a knight, my opponent doesn't mind, he defends, he moves normally, and if I take something, my opponent captures back. My opponent is not giving me anything for free. How will I win then if my opponent is not giving me anything for free? Well, for that part, let's talk about tactics. Chess tactics are used to gain advantage where other moves will not get an advantage. And in the area of tactics, we have different tactical themes. On Lead Chess has a lot of studies that we could use to improve our tactics, okay? So for example, let me just see if I could go to practice. Let me see if I could find here pins, okay? So let's start with pins. These are fundamental tactics that a player is supposed to know or should learn in order to move out of the beginner stage. Don't get me wrong. By learning these tactics doesn't mean, oh, I know what is a pin, what is a skewer, what is a fork, what is a discover attack. That means, no, I am an intermediate player. No, not really. To become an intermediate player, literally, you have to be, again, mindful of these things. It's not to know them, but actually to use them during the game, okay? Now, let's start with pins. So what is a pin in chess? A pin is when you attack a piece and behind the piece is a piece of greater value. Now, the tactical player is always paying attention to see if he could take advantage of opponents' badly placed pieces. So he could find tactical ideas based on those or where his opponent's pieces are. For example, a pin is when two pieces share either the same diagonal or the same file, and you could create an attack in that diagonal or in that file. Okay, in chess we have two types of pins. We have absolute pin, where you move a piece and you attack a piece, and behind the piece is the king. So definitely that piece cannot move. Now notice that when I put my bishop here, I'm attacking this knight and I want to win the knight. But my opponent with his king, well, first of all, he cannot move the knight away because behind his knight is the king. So we call that an absolute pin. All right. A pin could also happen against a piece of greater value, but that is not a king. And I will show you an example in a little bit. So after this move, black is going to lose the knight. So tactics is creating attacks or threats or winning ideas that the opponent cannot escape from. Literally, that's what tactics are. When you manage to find a tactical combination or a tactical move, your opponent has no way to save himself. You found a way to gain an advantage. So after bishop d4, it doesn't matter what black plays. This knight is going to be taken for free. So bishop takes knight. King move, bishop takes knight. And white here will end up going on to win the game. Here again, we have an idea of the same thing, a pin. White, notice here, I'm talking about a different level of player, all right? So you are no longer you are coming out of the beginner stage. That means you now start moving more in a sharp way. You are looking for wins. You're not just moving pieces randomly. If your opponent has two pieces sharing the same file or the same diagonal, you try to exploit that. And with that comes the move bishop to a3. The bishop will attack the rook, and behind the rook is the king. Notice that the rook cannot move to save himself because the king is behind. It will be an illegal move to move the rook. All right, so after bishop a3, that rook is going to be lost. He moved the king, but now I attacked your rook, I created a tactic, and now I have to collect the material. So I win the rook, and I should end up going to win that game. Now, those two first examples, if I go back to them, notice the piece behind was the king. So we call that an absolute pin. Definitely after this move, the knight cannot move, and I will win the knight. And in the next one, definitely after this move, the rook cannot move because the king was behind, and I will win the rook. Now, in this next example, the pieces that are in the same diagonal are the rook and the queen. After bishop to c3, the rook could move. But if the rook moves, I will get a free queen behind. So this is how you use pin. So bishop here, queen moves, and now I'm supposed to collect the rook. Okay, think this is, I'm not going to go back here. Now notice here, after the move bishop to c3, queen moves, and now it's my turn to play, and I have to collect the material. I have to win the rook. It's not just to create the pin, and then, oh, okay, you move your queen, let me just move a pawn. No, no, no. I created this pin to win the rook, to win material. How is this winning material? Well, my bishop is worth 3 points. This rook is worth 5 points. So anytime a bishop captures a rook is good for me, because I'm using a piece that's only worth 3 points to capture a piece that is worth 5 points. So I win a whole rook here, and that is good for me. All right. Now, in the next exercise, notice what is going on here. Here, the knight is already in a pin position. It's already pinned. Now, taking the knight will be a very bad move, because the pawn will take my rook, and then we will have the same material. I will just exchange my rook that is worth 5 points for a knight that is worth 3. But what we understand when a piece is pinned is that the knight cannot move. When a piece is pinned, especially against the king, it cannot move. So if the knight cannot move and is just stuck in that square, then I could just attack it with a pawn. So I play pawn to f4, and my pawn is just attacking the knight, but the knight couldn't move because my rook is here. So now I will just win the knight with my pawn. This will be a good trade because my pawn is 1 and the knight is 3. So I just win the knight. You capture and I take back with the rook, and now I have a big advantage. And here, of course, my plan is to take those pawns and then turn one of these pawns into a queen and win an easy game. However, I have to pay a lot of attention. This king wants to take my rook, so I may want to just move my rook back and make sure and do not allow my rook to be taken for free. Now, when you start mastering the idea of pins, you understand that some pieces, although they seem to be protected, they are actually not protected. For example, this is a very good case of that. This knight appears to be protected by this pawn from the attack of this bishop over here. This sniper over here is looking at the knight. All right? But black thinks that, okay, my knight is defended by the pawn, so you cannot take my knight, correct? However, this pawn is pinned by the queen, meaning this pawn cannot move to take this knight, couldn't move. If I take the bishop, the knight with the bishop, he couldn't take my bishop because the queen is in front. And this is exactly why captured the knight. And notice, and black here pushed the pawn forward. Why did he push the pawn forward? Well, this pawn cannot take the bishop because the queen is in front of the king. You cannot move that pawn because then your king will be in check. That will be an illegal move. If you are playing online, the system will not even allow it. So he played pawn forward, and I just won a knight for free. Why? Because the knight appeared to be defended, but it was not really defended. The next example of this pin is the following. Notice what is going on here. This knight is pinned to this rook. If you move this knight, I will win this rook. So for example, here white plays knight takes pawn. The idea of white taking the pawn is the following. Well, if black were to take the knight, click here. If black were to take the knight, then white will win the rook, and white will end up the exchange, meaning a rook for a knight. That is called winning the exchange, because at the end the rook is more valuable and more strong and stronger than the knight. Sorry. So now, after knight takes pawn, black didn't take the knight, so black just lost a pawn clean in the game. Okay. So if I close here and go back to the position, after this move, black went and played knight back. But after knight back, I could arguably just take the rook, exchange some pieces, and here white just won a pawn. White is much better here. White most likely will look forward to try to win this pawn with the knight and end up having two pawns that he could push forward and turn those pawns into a queen, perhaps. All right. So I will not finish the whole area of pins because I want to check other tactical themes. So notice what I was saying. In lichess, if you go to lichess, you could learn and practice pins, forks, skewers, discover attacks, double check. All of these are used to win material. Okay, so you use tactics of pins and skewers and all those kind of tactics to win material. For example, the player that is now moving out to become an intermediate player, all right? The player that becomes an intermediate player or moving to become an intermediate player is paying attention to everything that is going on the board. He just doesn't just play normal moves. I will show you an example here. For example, after e4, black played d5. White took the pawn, black took with the queen. Black attacks the queen with his knight, and the queen moves to c6. Queen to c6 is a bad move. In this position, it is white to play. If you are a normal player and you are not sharp, you don't understand about pins, about tactics, you might just say, well, let me just develop my knight, or well, let me just control the center. So you might play knight out, or you will play pawn to d4, controlling the center, and all these moves are just all these moves are just not the best. Here there is one winning move for white, and the move is bishop b5. Because on bishop b5, you win the queen. The bishop attacks the queen. Behind the queen is the king. The knight defends the bishop. And black is going to lose his queen. All of a sudden, that queen will be totally lost. All right? So the player, the tactical player, is able to look at tactical themes. The player that is now turning into an intermediate player is not just making moves and trying to win things for free or waiting for opponents' mistakes. No. The strong player looks for tactics to force winning material, to force checkmate, to force winning ideas. He's not sitting there and see, well, if my opponent is weak, I will beat my opponent. But if my opponent defends against my attack, then I have nothing else to do. All right? No, it doesn't work like that. The intermediate player, the player that is now understanding these basic tactics, then he will start using them. It's because stage number one is learning them. So in stage number one, you may want to go to lichess. You may want to check some of the videos that I have in my YouTube channel, all right? And you may want to be learning some of these tactics, okay? Learn some of these tactics, pins, forks, skewers, and then when you learn them, then you have to try to apply them during your games. So during your game, you will try to find a double attack. So let me just give you an example of a fork. A fork is when one piece attacks two pieces. So here now, oh look, I could play knight here, and this will create a double attack. Note if I go back, the knight attacks the king with a check. Because the king is in check, black has to move. When he moves, I win a queen. I use a double attack to win material. Here now is a double attack, but at a higher level. You see, this is now a player that is playing either intermediate or moving on to advanced, in which the player is still looking for a double attack, but first he gives away his queen, sacrificing the queen, brilliant move, and after the king takes, he takes the rook, and then takes the queen. And with this, he ends up with a big advantage. 2 knights versus only 1 knight. This is a pass pawn, 3 squares from queen. Eventually that pawn will turn into a queen as well. It will take him a couple of moves. He needs to make some moves before he achieves all of those things, but he is going to win this game eventually. And this started with a queen sacrifice that is based on creating a double attack. So he gave away the queen, but at the end, he won a rook and a queen. So it's like he won a rook for just a queen, okay? Now, also, you have double attacks by pawns. So when you see 2 pieces sitting next to each other like this, then you could use a pawn, move it 2 squares forward, and create a double attack. So it's like this. Well, what is happening in this position? Well, if you take my pawn, my rook will take your bishop. If you move your knight, I could take your bishop. If you move your bishop, I take your knight. This is a double attack. And this could be done also with pawns. Knight came here, and I have to decide whether I could just take the knight with my rook, and I have a winning advantage. I have 3 pawns plus a rook. One of those pawns will turn into a queen, or I could just work my king and try to win the game by checkmate. Okay, so now notice that again, in this position, we're using a pawn, moving it 2 squares forward. And this pawn now creates a double attack, attacking the bishop, attacking the knight. When you move your bishop, I win your knight. These kind of ideas of double attacks or forks are because you are paying attention. So in this position, notice this position. Many people could think about, oh, what to do here? Oh, let me just push pawn here. Or let me just try to bring on my bishop. Or let me just play pawn here. But no, the tactical player will say, okay, one piece next to the other. Perhaps I could create a double attack with this move and I will get something. All right. So that is the idea of the intermediate player. The intermediate player is looking for tactics. Is looking for forks, is looking for double attacks, is looking for skewers, different tactical themes that we are, of course, are going to be learning. I'm just trying to explain to you the different levels of a chess player. Once you understand the different levels of a chess player, you will know what you have to do. Because if you stay in the level where I like to play chess, I play many games. I have improved a little bit, but not much. I'm playing a little bit better, but I still lose a lot of games. I still cannot win against a player that is a little bit stronger. So why is that happening? Well, because your opponent might have some of these tools that you do not have. Maybe your opponent practice tactics, pins, skewers, double attacks, forks, and he's practicing tactics. He's looking for sharp ways of winning game. And if you are not doing that, then yeah, your opponent has an advantage because he has more knowledge than you. So he's playing with more tools than you. So that's why step by step, you want to be moving up in the ladder as a chess player. Now, this brings us to another part which is critical. Basic checkmates. Basic checkmates. Now, during a chess game, guys, you might win some games, you might lose some games, and during a chess game, you might win some pieces, you might lose some pieces, and an endgame might arrive. What is an endgame? An endgame is the result of all your moves and captures, and then you have only few pieces on the board. For example, this one. In chess, basic checkmates are very important. This is one of them. We will call it basic endgame. How to win with a king and 2 rooks if your opponent only has 1 king. Now, if you do not know how to win this game will end up in a draw. If you know how to win, then you will win it. The player that intends to become an intermediate player must know the following endgames or the following checkmates. How to win if you have a king and 2 rooks versus a king alone. This normally is the result of a big battle. Big battle. You were winning a whole bunch of your opponent's pieces. You end up with disadvantage. This is a big advantage for you if you are playing with the white pieces. And you should end up winning the game without any problem. The other endgame that you're supposed to know is, what if you have a king and a queen versus a lonely king? How to win this? You only have a king and a queen. Your opponent has a king. You need to know how to win this. In my channel, you will also find that in the playlist of endgames. How to win with king and queen versus king alone. This is very important for those who want to play in tournament. If you are playing in a tournament, you need to practice this endgame. I'm going to be going through a couple of them, but you need to practice this endgame if you want to play in tournaments, if you want to win in tournament. Because what happens if you have this position? You are winning. You should win, but if you do not know how to win with the king and the queen, the game will end up in a draw. No one will win. It will just be a draw. Okay. Now, before I continue with this, remember guys, in the description of this video is the link for the tournament. Let me just check the tournament. 39 players only. I was expecting to see more, but okay, we have 39 of you in the tournament. So now, guys, notice this. In the description is the link for the tournament. Also in your chat. On Lichess, once you go on Lichess, go by the little bell, you click on it, and you will find the messages. There you will find the link. I send the link for all the members of the team. I send the link with the tournament. So you could just click there on your device and join the tournament. Okay, guys? So on the video description, check the video description of this broadcast, all right? And click the link and join the tournament, okay? Notice, guys, the chat has been disabled because, as you know, some of you were getting very disrespectful with other players in the chat. And that is definitely unacceptable, all right? Definitely unacceptable, okay? I don't think some of your parents will approve of this because a lot of kids playing in this tournament, and I don't want you all to do anything or to focus on anything other than playing a good chess game. I might not play in this tournament, so I will withdraw one time. I will let you all fight for your top 3 places, okay? Now, we're back here. This endgame is one endgame that you're supposed to learn. It's very critical, it's very important. The other endgame, or the other basic checkmate, is king and rook versus king alone. This. And this is the one that finishes the area of intermediate player. Once you complete this, you could say, well, I am a strong intermediate player. I am a solid intermediate player. You know your basic tactics, spins, skewers, double attacks, and all of that. You are a solid intermediate player, and you are now moving up to become an advanced player. Hit like, and this video, the playlist is called Endgames, I believe. You could just go into that playlist, all right, and you should just go through these endgames. I explain these endgames, how to practice them, but not only that. You could come back to Lichess and look what Lichess has on practice. I think Lichess has them somewhere. Peace checkmates right here. Look at this. Only chess you could play these endgames against the computer. So I will go through them right before the tournament. So now this endgame, the rook and the queen will take ranks. So I will take these ranks, push the king to the last rank on the board and win. So I'll put this queen here, taking the 5th rank. I will leave the queen on the 5th rank, and with my rook I will take rank number 6. Now, just to illustrate the part of ranks, I will put my queen here. I just want to play on ranks. And now I'll move my queen to the 7th rank. And then I will take the 8th rank. So with the 2 rooks, you could do the same. Notice here now I will have the 2 rooks. And I will do the exact same thing. I put the rook on the 5th rank so that the king will not go up in that rank. So it's like counting. I will take 5th rank with 1 rook, 6th rank with the other rook, 7th rank with 1 rook, 8th rank with the other rook. So if I take the 5th rank with this rook, the 6th rank has to be taken with the other rook. What I have to do, I have to pay attention to his attack. His king moves here. He wants to capture my rook, so I move my rook far from the king. If I'm far from the king, I could take the other ranks without any problem. I already have the 6th rank with this rook, stopping this king from coming up. I will take the 7th rank with this one. And then I will take the 8th rank with the other one. And I managed to win the checkmate with the 2 rooks. Okay? So this is very, very important to learn. Then they have the king and queen checkmate. This one is very tricky because you have to take away space from this king. So I'll play king forward, king move, and then I play queen here. Notice what I'm going to do. I'm just shorten the space of the king. This king cannot leave this perimeter that my queen is marking. I will want to do, I'll make that space smaller trap him in a single file, and then bring my king forward. Then I will put my queen right in front, and that will be checkmate. All right, and with this, I complete checkmate with king and queen versus king alone, and that happened in only 7 moves. All right, so checkmating with the king and the queen, I have all the explanation also in my YouTube channel in the playlist of endgames. The one with the rook is a little bit more difficult because the rook doesn't have the same power of the queen, but I will use the same method, which is shortening the space of the king. I bring my king. I'll put my rook here. Notice when my rook is here, the king is limited to that little box. If I move my rook here, it might take longer, so I'll move my king around my rook. And then I will make the space smaller. I bring my king. He attacks my rook. I do not move my rook. And then I make the space smaller. Then I make the space smaller. Once I make the space smaller, my plan is to put my king right in front of his king. I wait with my rook. When kings are in front of each other like this, all I have to do is check the king from the side. And this will be checkmate. I check the king, but the king has nowhere to go. So this is checkmate. White has won the game. Notice, guys, that these endgames are not really all that difficult, but you have to practice them over and over in order to master them. Okay, now we finished with this part of the class, and we are going now to the tournament. So remember, guys, for the tournament today, control the center, develop your pieces and castle. That is stage number 1. Stage number 2, do not give away free pieces. Okay, pay attention to free pieces. Pay attention to your opponent's moves. Okay, don't allow your opponent to just capture your pieces for free. Pay attention to your opponent's moves to see what he is doing. Okay, very important. Step number 3, look for tactics to see if I have a double attack, if you have a pin, if you have a skewer. All right, look for tactics. Okay, but remember the first stage, control the center, develop your pieces and castle. That is very important. So let's see if after today's class, you could level up your game with the advice that I gave you. And in that way, you will have a much better tournament today. So now I will just sit, relax, and watch you all play the game. I'm not going to participate in the tournament today. I want to see how you all do. I will just pick a player to follow. So in this case, I will follow... I will start following the games of Improve. So I click on Improve. I'll click on Watch Games. What will happen, because I'm here on this little TV here, TV sign here that appears here by Improve, anytime he enters a game, I will be following his games, all right? So I will be following some of his games during the tournament, okay? Who else I will be following? So I'll be planning to follow whoever is playing at the top, okay? Whoever is doing very well, I'm planning to follow them to check how they are doing. Guys, focus on playing a good game. The chat is off on YouTube. The chat is off on Chess. So focus on playing a good chess game. Good luck, everyone. Let's see how the tournament goes. Okay, so tournament has started apparently. Not seeing much, like I'm not seeing the games, but all right, so game number 1. Improve is playing against another player, and we are watching Improve's game. Developing the pieces, very good. Fighting for the center, good. All this is normal. Good. I like that move as well. Yep. Improve is playing a good game with the white pieces. Black is also playing a good game. This setup is called kind of like a dragon position. So both players are doing a very good job This, at some point of time, I think they call it the Dragonov. It's a mixture of Naisdorf and the Dragon variation. So it's quite interesting. This bishop move is interesting. The idea is to exchange this bishop for this one, eliminate that bishop because that bishop is very strong in this diagonal normally. This queen is here, of course, putting pressure to this pawn, so white just defends the pawn. As I say, chess is played move by move. Now, black may want to develop this bishop. Maybe bishop here would have been a good move, but instead, black put pressure on this pawn, threatening to play knight takes pawn. White defends the bishop, and notice, guys, how chess is played move by move. And with bishop here, white now threatens pawn to e5, threatening to win the queen, so black steps away from that attack. White, of course, could go with knight forward to exchange this knight for this knight, take with the pawn afterwards, but he doesn't. He plays rook here, and well, perhaps knight forward is the better move, but it exchanges a couple of pieces, so maybe that is why he avoided it. These two rooks, one here, I don't really like it too much, to be totally honest. Queen here, interesting move. Interesting move because now knight here, this knight will not be able to take because it's pinned, and they will be attacking the queen as well. So, as I say, it's an interesting move. I don't know if it works all that well, but it is an interesting move. King goes back. If I had to prefer a player here, I would prefer white. Interesting move. Here comes a key move. Take with the queen or take with the pawn. He should take with the pawn. Taking with the queen, I don't like taking with the queen. Why he should take with the pawn? And this is the part of a strategy. If you take with the pawn here, then you limit the power of this bishop, and then you could try to put pressure on this kind of pawns later on in the game. So yeah, I think taking with the pawn was better. He took with the queen, and now this is the resulting position on the pawn. This setup with pawn here is fine as well, but it will take some work to convert it into a victory. A plan here for white could immediately be h4, h5 to try to create more problems in the game, but queen comes to f5, attacking this pawn. Very interesting game we're watching here, guys. Very two good players playing. I have not seen any big blunder or anything like that. The game is now a matter of a strategy. Improve is playing a lot of moves, like this move, rook to the side here. I don't like that move too much. Pawn push here, pawn push was a little bit better. Black is understanding this position perhaps a little bit better than white. That's what I will say. And white understand this a little bit better than white. Just a little bit. This rook here, I don't know if I like it. Now, this move is interesting. He's threatening this, followed by bishop here, and this might... Oh, that queen could be lost. Yeah, that's a lost queen. Oh, well, no, sorry, my bad. The queen could move to the side. If the queen moved back to a4, bishop to the 1 would have been a lost queen. But the queen could move to the side and escape. But this was a good idea. Afterwards, this before, a little expansion. I don't like the plan of rook here. That's why I was saying I didn't like rook c7. I don't like the plan of rook there because I don't see easily an easy way to work against this setup. Yeah, you unleash an attack here, but that could be defended with the rook. Of course, white has to find these moves as well. It's a simple move, took a little bit too long to play it. This pawn is under pressure by the two rooks, but I don't think it should be too bad. So guys, we're playing a tournament for those who are new to the channel and would like to play in this in this tournament, guys, we in the description of the video is the link for this tournament. You can just click and join the tournament. This is a game, the first game, and it's being played by 2 strong players. The thing with this game, guys, is a 5-minute game, all right? And while these 2 players are going at it and are fighting, there are other players that may be even weaker than these 2 players that are already collecting a whole bunch of points, and they may end up doing better in the tournament because of that same reason. Now, both players are engaging in a fight in the open file, all right? But this fight, it doesn't look like it's going too far. Bishop h3 is a bad move. It's a free bishop. This is a blunder by black. Oh no, well, he cannot take the bishop yet because of the rook. No, this move is worse. Bishop f1 was better. Now, guys, notice it's a lot of tricks here by black. Bishop h3 at the beginning looks bad, but it's not all that bad. Back on white, on the other hand, you have played bishop f1 to defend against the checkmate, not g6. g6 weakens the light squares. Now, you cannot take the bishop because of the queen, and you cannot take it with the rook because then comes the move queen takes c1. So very interesting move by black here, creating all kind of threats. g6 was played, and now queen asking for a queen trade. I don't really like that idea. Queen to e5, because improve could just exchange queens, push the pawn. Some move has come in, and notice what is going on here, now, guys. Now, white has the open file. There is an open file, and the only player with the open file is the white pieces. Of course, black is really fighting here, but this endgame is not going to go good for black. I think improve is going to get the upper hand here. Both kings are rushing to the center to see if they could win this pawn, but definitely this pawn cannot be captured by the black king. This is an interesting position. I think this is the dangerous position. Black is looking to play rook here and rook here, and it's not going to be easy to deal with. This is I don't know. I don't like this move. Better was rook here to play check here and try to win this pawn. This would have been my idea. This move I don't like it neither, because now this rook is coming here. Black on the other, at the end, guys, I think black is like a bit better player strategically. Strategically the better player. I think black may end up getting the upper hand. Already he won a pawn, and this is a passed pawn. He's going to fight to get that pawn in. This pawn will start advancing. This pawn will fall. If you leave this pawn there, this pawn will fall. This king is moved to the side, so it's cut off by the rook. Notice with this rook here, this king can never come to this side to stop the pawn. So yeah, this will be not good. Of course, I think black rushed a little bit the pawn push, but I believe that this should still be winning. Interesting position. Interesting position, sending the king to the other side. Not enough. Not enough. This is bad for white. White is lost now. No, pawn push wins immediately. He allowed this queen to come back. Still winning though. Still totally won. This will be a pass pawn. Yeah, this will be a pass pawn that will cost white the rook. Improve will have to give away the rook for that pawn. Oh, now this game this might end up in a draw. Very bad technique by black. Wow, 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 wow. Back to tournament. Wow, I'm so disappointed. We watched that game, and then yeah, the technique there was very bad at the end. And now that game, well, it looks like Improve lost the game. Which game to look at? Oh, Lethality is playing. Let's take a look at Lethality. Who is Lethality playing with? Lethality is not in a game now. Lethality has won 2 games. Very good. We follow Lethality to see if, okay, now Lethality is in a game. So we're going to be looking at some games of Lethality since Lethality is in first place. But Lethality will have to play some fast moves during the whole tournament because of the time, because of being an arena. It's an arena tournament, so you have to win as many games as possible. When it's a Swiss tournament, which I like Swiss tournament a little bit more, everyone play the same amount of games. If there is 5 games, everyone play 5 games. So there's no advantage for anyone there. If it is 3 games, everyone play 3 games. If it is 6 games, everyone plays 6 games. In arena, as soon as you win, you get into another game. And if you win, you get into another game right after. Whether you win or you lose, you just always go to another game. So if you keep winning quickly, then you could get more points than another person because you get more games in. So that's just the whole thing behind these arena tournaments. Look at that move. Lethality is faced here with a very interesting option, but is her option good? That is the question. Lethality may have been thinking of pawn to g5. I'm not totally convinced by pawn to g5. I think pawn to g5 is just a trap that she fell into. Literally. After this bishop takes, knight could come to d5. This is problem for black here. Knight is coming to d5. And it's not easy to stop the knight. Well, she could play bishop before though, pinning the knight. That's the only way to stop this. No, that's not the move. Bishop before was only move. Bishop before was only move here, guys. She could try knight, bishop takes check. Oh no, does she have mate? Does she have knight takes? She does have knight takes. She could play here knight takes, guys. Look at this. She could play knight takes. And if pawn, no, it doesn't. Well, she could play knight takes d5. Knight takes e4. And if bishop takes queen, then she have check. Followed by knight here checkmate. This is called legal checkmate. I don't know if she knows this, but knight takes here is good. Knight takes e4 is good. I don't know if she played it. Lethality is, maybe think she is in trouble, but she is far from being in trouble. She's actually doing fine here. Although this could turn into, no, this is it. I mean, you could do that. Yes. I mean, that's the only way Lethality could do, though. The only thing Lethality could do. Because other than that, guys, before, instead of d6, she should have played bishop here. Simply stopping that knight, pinning the knight and stopping that knight from coming in here. Also threatening to win that knight. All right, but if you play this move, allowing this move, that means that you have to see what to do now. And the only move that I could think about here for Lethality is knight takes e4. She played it. Did she play knight takes e4? No, she has checkmate in 2 moves. I don't believe this. Lethality pulled this out. I wonder if Lethality is listening to my live. Yep. She has a brilliant combination. Wow. Legal checkmate in a tournament. Big up Lethality, big game. I have to save this game. This game will be, I have to analyze. Maybe I will analyze some of the top games from this how you call it? From this tournament. I don't have to save it. It's saved normally. So this is a big win by Lethality. And yeah, congratulations. Keep it up. But no, Levi Daniel is ahead of Lethality, playing against Nate the Great. I'm going to continue following Lethality's game, because now Lethality is playing against Adam Lane. Lethality against Adam Lane. This is a very interesting game. Both players, look at their match. Lethality has won 2, Adam has won 1. So they have a little fight here going between them. Interesting. Interesting line. And I'm laying here playing black against lethality. Lethality with the white pieces playing the queen's gambit. Very good that lethality is actually playing the queen's gambit, like complete queen's gambit. Like, wow. I want to start playing the queen's gambit. It's a lot of work to start playing the queen's gambit if you want to play it at a high level. A lot of studies to do. But let's see how that goes. Queen f4 is a move. Doesn't do a big deal of things, but it's a move as well. Lethality is fighting up here in this position, putting some pressure on this knight here. A lot of pressure on the knight. Oh, well, no, that move is playable. No, Adam Lane blundered. Adam blundered, guys. All Adam had to do here is the intermediate move. After knight takes, after knight takes here, he shouldn't take the knight. He has to first capture this knight with a check. Check, and after pawn takes, then take here. And the game is equal, you see? But by playing first, bishop takes, now he loses this bishop. And now he has 2 minor pieces and white has 3 minor pieces. And this is just tactics, guys. All right? So that's what I was talking about. Coming out of the beginner stage, of the intermediate stage, trying to move up to advanced, or not even that. Becoming a solid intermediate player, means you need to see this type of tactics. You need to be able to see this type of tactics. That is what it means to become a solid intermediate player. These tactics have to be seen. Now, lethality is a whole piece up, so it's winning in mostly all lines. It's not a good idea for Adam to exchange queens. He's allowing the exchange of queens, but something that he shouldn't do, because now he's losing the knight, and the queen could be exchanged, and the endgame would just be going into an endgame with a piece down, and that is just not a good endgame. Going with the endgame down a bishop is just not a good endgame. No matter how we try to put it, it's just a bad endgame. Lethality hasn't finished development, but this game will not be about development, but about material. Now, guys, notice that wait a minute. How many time did I give to this tournament? 45 minutes. No. This tournament should have been running for 30 minutes. Not 45 minutes, 30 minutes. Because we had a whole hour of, how long we had the training. It's supposed to be finishing. Oh, no, that's fine. No, that's fine. 45 minutes was okay. Back 45 minutes was okay. All right, I was wondering there. Yeah, because we just did 45 minutes of training, and now 45 minutes of tournament play. This will finish in exactly 25 minutes. This tournament will be finishing. Look like we're going to finish a little bit earlier than planned. Eh? Quite interesting. Oh no, yeah, my bad. This is supposed to finish at how you call it. It's supposed to finish at 8. It's supposed to finish at 8. So we actually have 9 minutes left in the tournament, guys. Yeah, I was wondering, because I say, wait a minute, how come they have so much time? Because today the idea was train for a whole hour and then play the tournament for 30 minutes. The tournament was set to be played for 30 minutes, not for 45 minutes. All right. And now, yeah, it's 7:50. The live will finish at 8. And the tournament should have been set for 30 minutes. That was the plan, guys. All right. And actually, that is what I sent in the chat as well, in the WhatsApp chat to all of you. So it's only 8 minutes remaining before the tournament is over. And here we have a couple of players in the top places. Levi Daniel in first place. But now this is changing, and this might change a little bit through the last rounds. This Nene has gone up to first place with 14 points. Lethality is still in third place with 9 points. I think Lethality is still playing her game, and that's the thing, guys. You could have full points and still do not come first in the tournament. Levi Daniel won again and has moved to first place. So most likely Levi Daniel is fighting to win the tournament, all right, together with Nene and Lethality. Okay, these players are fighting to win that first place. So let's see how that goes. Who is going to take that first place? Now, the whole thing about this, they might have time to play only one more game. All right, one more game, most likely, because the tournament is about to finish. Levi has really been pushing in this tournament, guys. He has berserk in every single game, meaning cutting his time in half. He has been cutting his time in half to get more points, to try to win. All right, but now Levi has to face, Levi is now facing Improve, which is another strong player. So Levi didn't berserk because he's playing a player that is actually good, is actually strong as well. But this means that this game could last so long that it doesn't count for the tournament. That's the whole thing. The tournament might finish and this game is still going on. Because remember, this is 5 minutes per player, and this could end up happening regarding this game. Now let's check the others to see how they are doing. And we're going to follow a game. Nene, it's okay, let's follow the game of Levi. Let's follow this game. Since Levi is leading in first place, let's follow this game. Levi with the black pieces, Improve with the... Levi with the white pieces, Improve with the black pieces. Logical move, asking for a bishop trade. Let's see what will Levi play here. He exchanges, that's good, no problem. Developing the knight. I don't like too much the development of that knight yet, but okay, it's a move. Shouldn't be the end of the world, but I think it's not the most precise move. That's all I would say regarding that move. It's not the most precise move, but it's fine. It's not the most precise, especially because this move. Now the opponent is still threatening this check. Perhaps he will have to move his rook here. All right. Because trying to defend against that check, I don't know if that well. King here could, yeah, moving the rook is better. King here wasn't all that good because after a long castle, this knight will have a kind of like a discover attack. So yeah, moving the rook, and this is a game, guys. This game has to do with strategy. This is a strategic game, and we'll have to see who gets more out of it. So 92 is a good move. Challenging the knight. Knight check, okay, no problem. He just need to move his king. Let me see where he's going to put his king. That will be a very important. Not there. The king was better here. But okay, he moves there, no problem. Knight comes. Okay, no. Still, I don't see anything going on with this knight. But this knight is just being annoying. That's what I see. But it's not really doing all that much. Bishop there. This is a fine move, attacking this pawn. Black defends it by pushing this pawn. So a lot of logical moves, and this is one of the things that I was talking about before. Remember I told you about making sure that you pay attention to some basic stuff. So these are some basic things happening here of attack and defense. Kicking the knight, another logical move. But before kicking that knight, I would have played this rook here. Rook here was better because I could run with my king here and hide. All right. This is an interesting move. The knight wants to attack the bishop, and the knight always have kind of like a safe place in this square to escape. But at the end of the day, I would have played knight check just to disturb the piece of that king. Okay, bishop back. Okay, good. Pinning this knight to the rook, not allowing any exchanges. This is a tricky move. This is a tricky move. This could be a move check to win this bishop. It's turning tricky, guys. The game is turning tricky as it advances to the middle game. Both players have different ideas that they could try to bring alive during the game, and both players have to be very careful to what is going on. Okay, I like how Improve is playing, putting a lot of pressure on pieces. Levi exchanges and now ended up in this position when this is under attack. Only move for Levi here is not that one. I think he should have played perhaps knight here. Because now black could try to invade the position, but I don't know, it's still complicated, guys. It's still complicated because everything going on here is a bit tricky, I would say. But okay, I think the king has to go to the side here. I mean, move the king and stay on h3. h3 will be safe for the king. Nothing will happen to the king on h3. So he should be fine. This knight coming to e4 should be good as well. But black will have full control of the open file. And although this position is equal, I mean, it's going to be a very interesting fight. That's all I have to say. It's going to be a very interesting fight. And there's only 2 more minutes before the whole tournament is over. 2 minutes and 12 seconds. And maybe other players have already taken the first spots. And this is what happened. Yeah, look at this. Ben has 20 points. ZM Ben has 20 points. Nene has 19 points. While Improve and Levi are playing a very solid, good game, but I mean, this kind of tournaments does not forgive. I mean, if you are fighting against other strong players, anyone that could just score points will pass you. People just trying for move checkmate, trying all kind of tactics, winning games. Anytime people are winning games, those that are winning games will end up in the top places. And now we have Ben first place, Nene second place, Levi is still in third place, and Lethality has lost 2 games in a row. I think that was a bit disappointing. Who did she lose to? Okay, she lost to Adam Lane, and then lost to Nene as well. Very interesting. 56 seconds before the tournament is over, guys. Don't forget to subscribe to my channel. Don't forget to hit like. And remember, watch the videos on the channel, guys. Big Jumbo Chess tournament is coming up. I'm going to be talking about it. I will be talking about it next week. Okay, next week I'm going to be talking about the Jumbo Chess tournament. So let's see how that goes. Ben first place, second place Ney, Mr. Ben's first place, second place Ney, Levi Daniel third place, Adam Lane fourth place, and let's see, guys. I think that's the final result. I don't think anything will change. And yes, it's the final result. 48 people participating. Thank you for participating in this tournament. Thank you for being in the live session. Next session, some comments will be allowed, but only on YouTube. All right, with some time kind of penalty, so you cannot write a whole bunch of messages one after the others, and those messages will be moderated to make sure you are writing the correct thing. Okay, guys, thank you for participating. Enjoy the rest of your week. Bye bye.